Hello YouTube and welcome back to Tale of Steel Armory. Today I want to invite you to a really special project for me. This channel is called Tale of Steel Armory and I do make a lot of armor, but normally I make Spangenhelm constructions, so multi-piece constructions or some dished pieces, but no historically accurate one-piece forged helmets like nasal helmets. And today is the day where I'm gonna learn, or try my best to learn how to do that. And the next step in my journey as an armorer, because I want to do this as a profession someday, and I have to learn these things. So let's get started. Okay, I've dug out this sheet of steel, 2mm thick, and I'm gonna use this template here. I don't know if it works or not. I've made a test piece which was too small, so I've added a few centimeters and now it's 43 by 39 centimeters. I'm just gonna transfer it with a Sharpie and then cut it out with an angle grinder and see how it goes. Two kilo rawhide mallet and ear protection. Okay, that should be enough to start. Let's make some fire. Okay, let me explain what I'm doing here. The technique I'm using is called raising. Raising is where you make a dish-shaped object out of a flat piece of steel without thinning it out. I've added a center point in the middle with the center punch. I don't know if you can see that, but that's so I can orient myself around the middle. And then I'm just working around in circles, and I'm not hitting on the piece directly on the anvil, so not like this. this is gonna thin down the material. I'm hitting a bit next to the point of contact. So the material gets just pushed down. And by pushing down the material in this circular shape, it also creates compression on the material. So this thickens the material in theory. Or at least it's gonna stay about the same thickness as it started. I finished the first 3 passes, and as you can see, I'm not gonna finish the helmet in this one go, and not today. It's gonna take quite a while. And as you can see also, or as you might have noticed, it takes longer the further I go outside of the metal. So the first pass was like 4 or 5 heats, and the third is 20 or so, I don't know. And it's only gonna get more, and it's gonna get worse. But yeah, that's part of the traditional craftsmanship, and I want to make it historical. So also with historical methods. Alright, another 2 passes, and as you can see maybe, I didn't really go deeper. This fold here has to be rolled over the edge, so the material thickens all the way around and the bowl shape starts to form. And then I have to start over from the middle again. Alright, we finished the first racing pass. The piece lost about 1 centimeter in diameter, and we've gained about 5 centimeters in depth, which isn't too bad. I think we're on the right way. Tomorrow I'm gonna do a few more of these racing passes and see how far I can get. And this video will continue with how to make the nasal for the helmet. I'm planning to cut out a strip of this old piece of leftover steel, 3 mm thick, and then I'm gonna split it in the middle, leaving one section complete, which is gonna form the nasal, and the other, the split section, is gonna be bent outwards and wrapped around the helmet to attach it on the helmet. Alright, cutting out wasn't a problem. Now, next step is to heat up the forge and try to straighten this piece out. Even out the thickness a bit and then cut it. And I'm gonna try to cut it with a chisel, just like they did in early medieval times. And yeah, it's an experiment for me and a lot more interesting to watch for you. Now that took a few minutes, but it worked. Maybe if I used a sharp chisel it would work a bit better and a bit faster, but it is 3mm steel. I mean, as I said, it would be a bit boring to just cut it with an angle grinder. The next step is to bend out these two bands here and try to get an even and square transition from this nasal section here to the bands. I've left it a bit thicker because I don't know how it's gonna behave. Then it's just forging out these two things, getting everything to shape, cutting it and riveting it on. I really thought it would be a lot easier, and as you saw I had to experiment a lot and try out a lot of things. And now there's two problems with that. First of all, the nasal is just about 6 centimeters deep, so 2 centimeters less than I want. I want minimum 8 centimeters. Well, that was just my fault. I cut in too deep, and yeah, just bad guessing. Haven't done this before. I hope I'm never gonna do that again. And the second problem is, don't know if you can see that. Here, there's a crack forming, which isn't a big deal. I'm just gonna have to grind into that and do a little bit of welding, and it should be good as new. But it's sad because I wanted to make this thing a bit more authentic, and the only thing I've learned is that they definitely didn't do it that way. Definitely didn't do that way. Say that 5 times fast. But it was an experiment, this whole thing to this point with cutting out with a chisel and forging took me 2.5 hours. I'm gonna have to taper these sides a little bit more because I don't need that thickness and weight on the sides, only at the front. So it's gonna start to taper over the whole length to about 2 or 1.5 millimeters. I don't think that I need that much material actually, and I don't think that I'm gonna keep it that thick. It's currently 2.5 centimeters. Maybe I'm just gonna grind out a few, half a centimeter or something. I don't know yet. Now, another day of the project has come to an end. I've worked 4 hours on this piece here, which I could have just cut out in 15 minutes out of a piece of sheet metal. I've got to say, I'm not gonna do it again this way. I'm just gonna cut it out next time. I've really learned a lot. I should have started with some 5mm or 6mm material and a bit smaller. This would have made it a lot easier. Also, I shouldn't have tried to work these sharp edges here where the crack started to form that early. Here you can see the crack. I'm gonna have to weld that or try to grind it out. I don't know yet. Maybe I can grind it out even. The process wasn't the problem. It was just me being dumb, that's all. Hey guys, I've done a few more hours of work on the helmet, and as you can see, it doesn't look like shit anymore. It actually looks quite nice. Really close to the final shape now. As you can see, on the sides there's a bit of space left. I have to push this down a bit more. As you can see, it's almost symmetrical. I'm gonna have to do some cold shaping, which I'm gonna have to do anyway, so that's not a problem. Now let me show you what I've learned in the last 16 hours of work. 16 hours just for this rough shape. And well, then I hope we can planish it and make a nice helmet out of it. Now the first thing I improved is this vice grip. I've cut off the tip. Now it's not as long and it holds even better, so first improvement. The second thing I did, I've taken off this puck here, this thing, which I wedged in before. This leaves me with a flat surface, so I can make a straight piece of sheet metal. It's also nice because it supports the sides and not the middle, so I can just I don't have to control my heat that much. I just have to hit the middle and not the edges, and it's gonna compress. It's just gonna leave a straight, more or less straight piece afterwards. Now that's it for the day. The shape is finished roughly, and I've had to hit it a bit to flatten it out because it was too small on this side, too long on this side, so it worked, no problem. As you can see now, this is basically perfect, and this one is truly perfect. So I'm really surprised how good that worked. If you think back, I've started with a piece of this size here. So that's how far I've shrunk it down, you know. It's a lot of material, a lot of work. I think I've worked 18 hours on this thing to this point, 18 hours of work just to get it to shape. And well, I think it's nice. Now I've already started to flatten out the sides a bit, and now I have to mark a straight line around it because I need to measure where the radius should start. So I'm just using this piece of tape and a marker and moving around it on a more or less flat plane. This allows me to make a more or less parallel base for the helmet, so I can measure from the bottom, which makes it all a lot easier. Now that we're flush on the bottom, I can use this tool and mark around it, around the helmet, a distance of 8 centimeters, which is where I want my radius to start. Alright, this was the first marking I wanted, and the second marking should be where I want this radius to end and where I want the slightly domed flat top of the helmet to start. Since I want the same radius all around, I'm just using this measuring tape here, and I'm marking on, I think 19 maybe, or let's say 18. 18 is good. I'm marking around 18 centimeters from the bottom. Alright, I finished the rough surfacing of the helmet, and now there's a lot of these deeper dents here still, which I didn't work out in the first pass, and let me show you how to get rid of them. So I'm working on this little anvil here. I'm placing my helmet on it, and I'm trying to hit directly on the center of the anvil, and I just work around the dents. And I'm moving in circles around them, getting tighter and tighter, and I can visually see when the surface is flattened to my hammer, because it takes on the surface of the hammer if I hit it. switching to a flat polished hammer now, just to give it a bit more evenness, so I don't have to grind away that much. Alright, I finished this section here. I'm gonna grind it with this pipe grinder in a vice grip and just see how it looks and if it needs more work. This is after grinding a little bit, and I can see that I still have a deep spot here, which has to be punched out, but it's getting better. We'll see you when I'm finished. So, I spent the last week grinding and hand sanding the surface. It took forever, and I really have to find a way to make this a lot quicker and use some thicker material so I can just grind away all the bumps and not have to forge them out one by one, which takes a lot of time. And today is the day where we're gonna cut down this section flat, so there's no sharp edges and something left, and it's a flat surface. And I'm also gonna shape and grind the nasal, see how that works, and maybe even already attach it. Now, a quick change of plan. I'm not gonna weld the crack, I'm just gonna grind it out. Shouldn't be a problem, it's not that much, and the nasal isn't straight in that direction anyway, so I have to remove some material from here anyway, and that should get rid of it altogether, no problem. Alright, it looks quite nice, I think. I'm gonna take it apart now, start to grind or polish the surface with this Scotch-Brite discs for the angle grinder. I'm starting with 100 grit and work my way up to 800 grit, and then I'm gonna spray paint the inside. I already did that, but I'm gonna do another layer and spray paint the nasal so it won't rust. Deburr everything, add some leather, and then we're finished. Alright guys, I finally finished riveting on the band. Excuse me. And yeah, that wasn't really good actually. The customer asked for invisible rivets, so I countersunk each hole, and yeah, I had to drill out about half of them because these roofing nails I was using were just too short and didn't fill up the hole. Some I could leave in, but some I had to drill out twice because I chose the wrong nails, and then I ended up just using basically bigger nails, you know. This took forever now. It's already 9 and I wanted to finish the helmet today, and I think I'm going to, but I have to work a bit quicker now to finish it, and it's not gonna be as nice as I hoped it will be, but well, that's just how it is. I'm gonna grind off these rivet heads and grind around the band one last time, and then it's time to polish, cut the straps, add the buckle, and then we're finished for the day and finished with the helmet. Well, that's it. This is the end result. Let's talk about this project. What went wrong, what went right, what were my goals, and what did I learn? First of all, my goal was to forge an authentic high medieval nasal helm from a single piece of steel, and at the same time learn the technique of raising a helmet out of a single piece of steel. As I've said, I've made a practice piece before this project, which didn't really work out. It was just way too small, but this time I managed to do it just fine. The raising worked without any problems and the shape looks really nice. The nasal, on the other hand, didn't really work at all. I should have made it out of thicker material or just cut it out of a piece of sheet metal. I've also had a lot of problems riveting it on. The customer ordered invisible rivets, which I tried to achieve with some thin 8mm roofing nails, and as you've seen, that didn't really work out. The nails were just too short and too thin. I had to drill out a few of them and replace them with thicker and longer construction nails, which doesn't really look that good in the end result. Finally, the leather and buckle worked out perfectly, and I think they really fit the overall aesthetic of the helmet. So, I hope you liked this video on how to make a historically accurate one-piece forged nasal helmet. I hope you learned something. I learned a lot, and if you liked this video, don't forget to check out the other ones I made. I have videos on how to make armor and weapons. And if you want to join me on my journey on becoming an armorer and weaponsmith, not only as a hobby but as a profession, then don't forget to like and subscribe. It's minus 7 degrees outside and well, I have to get home now. So have a great day, night, evening, whatever, and see you in the next one.